I extracted here 5 questions from the second practice test, the one with assessment like mock exams. I will provide the answers and I will discuss them with you. Just make sure that you understand this, and when you reach, the actual practice test with the 25 questions, maybe you will know the answer already, and this is a good thing. Question 1 out of 5. You are looking at a file loaded with a Power Query editor. First column contains the product category names, the top row has years, and the other cells show annual sales per category. What operation will rotate your data into a 3-column table? And the choices are remove top row, pivot columns, unpivot columns, and rotate columns. So you'll have always to select only one of these choices. And look, guys, I will always make a pause, in all of these 5 questions to give you time to think about if you want to. And then I will continue right away with the answer and the explanation. And this is happening now. Choice number 3, unpivot columns. Use the unpivot columns operation. This will rotate your Y matrix into a clean 3-column table. And well, I know that's not 100% specific for Power BI. This is something you should know from SQL, basically, the pivot and pivot SQL statements. But get familiar with this because it's very likely that you may get some at least one question on the exams that makes them realize that you learn about data transformations. Question 2. You are building a sales report containing a matrix visual with rows of data displaying the annual sales calculated at sales total. Which DAX visual calculation expression should you use to enhance the visual by adding a comparison of each year's profit with the profit from the previous year? And you have 4 different expressions. They both have on the left side the name of the measure, basically sales increase. And look, I will not read them one by one, but you see here the expressions, and definitely you see the differences. The first one is using sum, second one moving average, then next or previous. As usual, okay, you can stop here, go think about and come back. I will continue with the answer and explanation. It's a fourth choice. Sales increase using the previous DAX function, okay? To calculate the comparison of each year's profit with the profit from the previous year, use the built-in Power BI function previous, alongside the built-in FX menu for visual level logic. And look, I don't know, you'll have to look for different keywords here. You see, first of all, you have comparisons of each year's profit compared to the previous year, okay? The previous should be a keyword. Comparison should be another keyword you may be looking for. Question 3. You need to use Performance Analyzer in Power BI Desktop. Which task should you perform before you start the recording from Performance Analyzer? Clear the visual cache, close the connection to the data source, open the selection pane, refresh the semantic model. As usual, I'll make a pause. You can stop here, go think about, but I will continue with the answer and explanation. Clear the visual cache. And look, you have to remember these 2 different actions on the 2 different caches that you'll have to clear out before running a new Performance Analyzer recording, okay? Because otherwise what you have in cache will remain for the next analysis, and that's not good. Clear the data engine cache and the visual cache before starting recording with a Performance Analyzer. So definitely we don't have data engine cache here. We have just a visual cache, but keep in mind these 2 ones, and keep in mind the fact that Yeah, you'll have to take a look at the performance analyzer also if you touch one or two questions about optimizing your data results. Question 4. You have a Power BI data model with one sales table with the following columns: sales amount, sales data, and employee email. Sales data is not used in any report, and employee email has null values and is no longer required for analysis. You need to optimize the performance of the model. What should you do? Change data type of the employee email column to text, create an index on the sales data column, hide both columns in the model, remove both columns from the model. So obviously here in the last two choices, we refer to the columns we specifically named, yeah, sales data and employee email. As usual, yeah, I'll make a pause here. You can go think about and come back. I will continue with the answer and explanation. Remove both columns from the model. And keep in mind this: to optimize the performance of your Power BI data model, you should delete both the sales data and employee email columns from the model. Why this? In this case, yeah, they are not used. They may be hidden. They may have plenty of null values, and they will lead to an unreliable analysis. They are no longer required for the analysis. So keep in mind that you should keep only those table columns or query columns expressions, and so on, that you use for the analysis to optimize the performance of your semantic data model. Finally, the last discussed question number 5. You have a Power BI workspace that contains a semantic model used by multiple reports. The workspace content is distributed to users through a Power BI app. Which role should you assign a user based on the least privilege principle, if they only need to publish reports and manage other users in this workspace? And you have here the following built-in roles. Yeah, keep in mind these are workspace roles. Okay, they are predefined. Yeah, and they occur only in the workspace: viewer, contributor, member, and admin. Okay, after the typical pause, I will continue straight away with the answer and explanation. Member. You should assign the user the member workspace role. While a contributor can publish reports, they cannot manage user access. A member is the lowest privileged role that grants both the permission to publish update content and add or assign roles to other users. And look, guys, you may get at least one question with these specific roles. You should know about the privileges assigned to each of them. And this question is very typical based on the least privilege principle, because let's say if you don't need to manage a workspace or to assign roles to other users, you don't need member, you need contributor. Yeah, the contributors, they take care only of the content. Yeah, they can create, manage reports. If you need read-only access, okay, assign viewer, and so on. Okay, so some brief takeaways from this question and answer lecture that I presented here. These have been all assessment-like, questions. I don't have a brain dump here, and I'm not allowed to, but they are very close to what you get to the exam. And don't overthink any question. Yeah, make sure that you'll pass through the next two practices that I have in file. Yeah, the next one contains basically the collected quizzes. Yeah, that you'll find in all the modules that Microsoft recommends to prepare with. Okay, so I collected them all together in 28 questions But you can practice this. Yeah, it's very interactive. I mix them all together, so they are not per chapter. Yeah, this makes it easier. So you can use it as a practice test. And the next one is a bit more complex with exam-like questions. 25 questions, just like in the real exam. And also the time allowed today is 2 hours, so you have more than enough to complete your exam, in my opinion, for just 25 questions. But yeah, some questions would be harder. That's an open book exam. Yeah, you can you can check on the internet if you have time and you don't know the answer. But chances are that if you practice with my two following practice tests again and again, and yeah, you pass over 90% consistently with each year, you'll pass also the renewal assessment online from the first trial. Okay, guys, so this is it. Good luck with practicing on the next two mock exams.